Greetings! Anton here with a fairly short devlog for hot dogs, horseshoes, and hand grenades. I have had quite a week. We've begun a new experimental cycle for the game. So we're sort of ticking the update number up. And what that means is that because we are shifting all the way back over to the experimental branch, it allows me to break things. And a bunch of the features that I need to work on next, some of which are bugs, some of which are just finishing stuff that I worked on last year, require I break some fairly large and some fairly scary things. So I figured I would just fill you in on where we're starting off with this next update, especially because some of those things have been requested. So the first one is that we built last year these beautiful ammo boxes. They're super configurable. In fact, the generic ammo box doesn't even really exist in the game. An ammo box sort of like on its own can't do anything. It has to be brought into the world and be told like, you are a shotgun ammo box and you're using this cartridge type and you're filled with this. And what that means is that they don't interact with the save and loading system right yet. And so I need to fix that. Right now, if you try to create a scenario in a scene and do it with an ammo box, that is not going to load correctly. And the reason it doesn't yet is I have to actually change some things about the order of operations that actually happen in saving and loading. And that's dangerous because I might break some stuff. So I'm doing this over on the experimental branch so I don't accidentally destroy any of your folks' saved scenarios. So that's in progress. Along that lines, one of the other sort of dangerous changes is the way that many of you have probably noticed that when you throw a whole bunch of attachments on a gun in H3, it can begin to get a little slow performance-wise. Some of that is just intractable. It's just the way the game is. It's the way physics is, complexity. Some of that can be fixed, however, by creating a slightly flatter hierarchy inside instead of a hierarchical one. But that could end up having a whole bunch of ramifications to existing content and existing saved guns. So I want to carefully attempt to make that change. And once again, make sure it's not breaking any sort of legacy content. While I'm doing that, there are a couple other little things that I want to see if I can tweak in regards to attachment behavior. There's a couple sort of standing bugs. There's some other saving and loading bugs relating to containers. Like someone in the community, I think, actually posted a fix to this ages ago, and I never got to it because, as I said, it's a scary, possibly breaking change, and I need to make sure that I both fix the problem, but that fix doesn't necessarily require a brand new save. So it will operate on old saves as well. So here's hoping that will all go well. But those are the three. They're not really sexy things, but they're things that are like right at the core of the way that folks like to do, use the sandbox side of H3 that are really, really important. And I felt bad because I haven't gotten those fixed. And there's always going to be a more exciting or a sexier feature or a fun toy to work on that I can justify doing that instead of just stare at arrays and see if array is fixed and is hierarchy broken. These are awful things to work on. They're tedious, but they need to get done. And the result is just that a whole bunch of things will end up being more reliable and more enjoyable to play with if I can get through that. And then beyond that, the other stuff that is in the next week or two that I really want to do is restore a bunch of the functionality in the Grillhouse scene for resetting doors, resetting windows, possibly add a couple extra options in regards to that. And much to the light of one of our Discord community mods, I'm finally going to get the destructible furniture into the game in the next couple weeks. Knock on wood. I don't even know if this is wood. This might be one of those fake wood surfaces. Either way, superstitions aside, hopefully because I've said that, it means I'll actually do it. So that's what's going on. That is what is going to kick off our next experimental cycle. And so what this definitely means is if you are currently, and it's why I wanted to say this a week ahead of pushing an actual build, if you are currently on the experimental build right now and you have a bajillion things stored in your vault and you play H3 every week and you're playing with those things and you don't want to deal with experimental software where something could break, get off the experimental branch now. Please switch back to alpha or switch back to main branch if you just don't want to deal with that headache. Because, as I said, the next experimental branch that I push will be truly experimental, and there might be some scary bugs in there, and I would feel really terrible if I ended up corrupting anyone's like saved scenarios or guns that they really, really love. So I will probably post a warning for this again next week on Steam in the like before you run the build sort of thing. Just because, as I said, I have dragged my heels on doing this precisely because the types of things that can go wrong could end up wasting a bunch of people's time or screwing up some saved guns they love. And I never want to do that. And it sort of like gives me anxiety as a developer doing it. But these are scary, necessary changes I need to make to the serialization system to fix long time problems. So anywho, that is about it. Beyond that, my life has just been working on this stuff. And as I mentioned earlier, like a devlog or two back, there's another project that I am working on. Nothing to say about it yet, other than that it is challenging me on entirely new axes, not just as a game designer, but someone who is just organizing groups of people. We have a bunch of people all working on this project, more people than I have ever coordinated on something in a sustained way, which means that my life is in significantly larger part about living in documents and being in very long coordination meetings, to a degree that is just a very different experience than I've had working on, like, so much of my time working on H3 because of the way that this project is set up. I've mentioned this before, but like H3 is not in version control, because for a host of reasons. Part of it my own cantankerousness, and part of it because of some of the very brittle modules and middleware and asset management in the game, and just how version control worked on a Unity project 9 years ago. And so I have always had to do all of the grunt work, all of the final implementation of every given system. And which has meant that I have always been the bottle. Like, if something needed to go in H3, I've been the bottleneck for that. Even when I've had other collaborators, even when other people were working with me, someone else makes a system, I've got to plug the system in. Someone makes a set of content, I've got to plug the content in. And that has always, sort of like defined the furthest perimeter of what H3 has been able to be, and it's been the bottleneck for collaboration resources as a whole. And so I guess I just wanted to say that that's not a mistake that I intend to replicate, and that it has been incredibly refreshing to work in another context with a bunch of people where just like there are several people who all like just they got the version control and a build system all just working, and that'll just work from now on. And I can focus on the things that are near and dear to my heart from a design domain standpoint, and be able to just focus on that instead of the grunt work in 15 different places. And as I am getting older, and just have less energy than I did 9 years ago as a workaholic in his early 30s, it's refreshing. So I look forward many months from now of being able to speak about that project beyond the vaguest of references as I have here. It will be worth it, I assure you. So anywho, that just about does it. I'm going to return to awful serialization work. And I hope you all have yourselves a wonderful weekend, and hopefully I'll have something goofy and fun and playful to show you folks next week, aside from just like ammo boxes that actually save correctly, Anton. So yeah, peace.